4 minutes.
This Friday is International Day of Persons with Disabilities, the day to promote the rights and well-being of people with disabilities and celebrate their contributions to communities and society. I thank the Lascaux Comhairle for including this topical issue. The optional protocol to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, known as the CRPD, allows individuals and groups to hold the state to account for failures to uphold their rights. In the words of Sinead Gibney, the Chief Commissioner of the Irish Human Rights and Equality Commission, optional protocol is a technical term that unfortunately does a disservice to its meaning and significance and masks the urgent need for action for people with disabilities and our society. The protocol is about empowering people with disabilities. Far from being optional, it is a crucial tool for the Convention's implementation, which provides more local remedies and removes discriminatory laws and practices. While the language is technical and it can seem divorced from everyday life, this is incredibly important to help strengthen the rights of people with disabilities. Disability services, or the inadequacy of them, is one of the issues that I'm contacted about practically daily from people across Cork South West and beyond. I know other deputies and yourself, Minister, experience similar. Accounts of children who cannot access vital therapies, children disability network teams waiting lists, families unable to get suitable housing, young and older people forced into nursing homes due to lack of home supports. At the Disability Matters Committee, our current module is dealing directly with the lived experience of people with disabilities and their carers, and every week is more disgraceful and enraging than the next, as individuals and families tell us about having to fight to access and then maintain very basic services. Regretfully, I have to come to the conclusion that in Ireland we don't have a rights-based approach to disability, we have a budget-based model. Services, supports and opportunities are decided based on government budgets, not human rights. And it's worth noting that we can afford to address these as well. In a rights-based system, when you're entitled to a service, you receive it, from SNAs to carers to respite and accessible transport. Ireland is so very far from this. In dealing with all of this week after week, I keep coming back to the importance of the protocol in holding the state accountable for the deficiencies in services and barriers that individuals face. The programme for government includes ratifying the protocol, and the Minister for Children reiterates his commitment every time I ask him about the process. However, there is no sense of priority. Disgracefully, it took Ireland over 10 years to ratify the UN Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities. Individuals, communities and advocacy organisations are all deeply concerned that ratification of the optional protocol is also years away. People with disabilities can't wait that long to be able to guarantee their rights. Back in June, the Irish Human Rights and Equality Chief Commissioner wrote to you, Minister, and to Minister Roderick O'Gorman, emphasising the need to adopt the optional protocol as a matter of urgency. We've discussed this extensively in the Disability Matters Committee, and it is clear that it is a political decision. So we've heard from different experts, including the UN Special Rapporteur, who clearly said the optional protocol can be ratified immediately. And Minister, I'm sure you'll mention issues like the commencement of the Decision Making Act and the establishment of the decision support services, and they're very welcome, don't get me wrong, but these are the latest delays presented by government departments, and the ratification can and should happen immediately. So, Minister, would you please push for this?
Thanks, Lascaux Comhairle. And I want to thank Deputy Kearns for raising the issue on the optional protocol today. And also I want to recognise that Friday is International Disabilities. And it's also great to have the opportunity to have this selected this week to keep a focus on this agenda. So I appreciate your commitment and that of the entire House of the advocacy for seeing that the optional protocol progressed and ratified. Ratifying the optional protocol to the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities is a matter of significant importance to both myself and to Minister O'Gorman. Ratification is a commitment in the programme for government, and both I and Minister O'Gorman have stated that we wish to see the protocol ratified as soon as possible. Work has begun to identify the steps needed to put in place to enable early ratification of the protocol. However, the Government and I have always been mindful of the need to be able to meet and honour our obligations arising from international commitments. Ireland has a reputation as a good faith actor on the international stage and a leader on human rights issues, and it is a hard-won reputation based on a long-standing policy where we do not enter binding international obligations without first being sure that we can meet and honour the commitments we take on. Minister O'Gorman and I are working to ensure that Ireland will be in a position to honour the obligations in the optional protocol upon ratification. To this end, ratification of the optional protocol requires progress being made in key areas of legislation so that Ireland can move closer to full compliance with the UNCRPD. Fully commencing the Assisted Decision Making Capacity Act 2015 is a priority for us in this regard. We are working intensively on an Assisted Decision Making Capacity Amendment Bill, which will streamline processes and improve safeguards for everyone who will rely on the Act and the decision support services that it establishes. This is a fundamental change in how people with disabilities are supported in their decision making, is a key measure in the progressing realisation of Ireland's compliance with the UNCRPD, in particular Article 12. And it's important also, just to put on the record of the Dáil, today I wrote to the Chair of the Children's Committee, Deputy Funchion, and I sent forward to her the heads of the bill in relation to the Decision Making Capacity Amendment Bill. So I have progressed it, and that is now where I would ask the committee to, if they could give it priority so as that I can reach full commitment. I'm always saying that the decision support services, I would like to have it in place by June of next year. In addition, a comprehensive review process is needed to ensure Ireland's other systems and processes regarding persons with disability, and in particular complaint and redress mechanisms, will meet the obligations in the optional protocol. The Office of the Attorney General will play an essential role in the review, and the officials in the Department of Children, Equality, Disability, Integration and Youth will be conducting the work over the period ahead. In terms of timing, the programme for government contains a firm commitment to ratifying the optional protocol after the first UNCRPD reporting cycle has concluded. Although Ireland has already submitted its initial state report under the Convention, it is possible that the state report may not be reviewed as quickly as originally anticipated. As a consequence, the completion of the reporting cycle may take longer than planned. However, Minister O'Gorman and I are keen to ensure that Ireland's ratification of the optional protocol is not delayed for this reason, and we will prepare for ratification once the review of domestic procedures, complaints and redress mechanism has been completed, and once again any action that may arise from that process has been undertaken. In the immediate, we know that we need commencement of the Assisted Decision Making Capacity Act 2015 and the full operation of the decision support services. I would like to underline the government's commitment to implementing the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities.
And of anyone in government, I don't doubt your commitment in this area. But I am concerned about the conditionalities that government departments keep putting up that supposedly block the ratification. Back in 2015, it was the intention to ratify the Convention and the optional protocol together. By 2018, that was just the Convention. And then we had to wait until after the first reporting cycle under the Convention, which at the current pace is still years off. And in response to pressure on that hurdle, the emphasis has now fallen on the commencement of the Decision Making Act, which I do welcome is coming to the Children's Committee, and I will also push for that to be prioritised. There's also, the review of the current legislation for decision support services that just gets an occasional mention, but the goalposts keep shifting, and all the time people with disabilities are denied access to housing, can't get suitable transport for work or socialising, and are disproportionately at risk of poverty and social exclusion. Exhausted parents are having to fight for therapies from understaffed children disability network teams, and carers are left without respite. So on the week of International Day of Persons with Disabilities, I'm asking, what will the government do? So you're talking there about identifying the steps that we need to take. But on one hand, we have independent experts, including the Irish Human Rights and Equality Commission Chief Commissioner and Professor Gerard Quinn, the UN Special Rapporteur on the Rights of People with Disabilities, who state that the protocol can be ratified immediately. Immediately, not with all of those steps, not with the Decision Making Capacity Act, and no need for any legislative or structural change. And other countries have done that, and they've come before the committee and explained that to us. And then on the other hand, we have the departments continually shifting their position with barrier after barrier being put up, as well as a process which is at odds with the approach taken by countries who've done this successfully and ratified the optional protocol years ago. So the government has a very clear choice, and surely they would choose to follow the advice that more quickly protects the rights of people with disabilities.
Minister, to conclude.
Thank you very much, Lascia Hurley. And thank you, Deputy. And yes, the government is committed to full ratification of the optional protocol. There is a process that I have not steered from since the day I've come in as Minister, and that is in relation to the two pieces I've read out to you there. The decision amendment bill that's gone forward to the Children's Committee. I'm asking you to prioritise that. The decision support services, I have put funding in last year's budget and this year's budget to ensure the staff are in place. That in actual fact the amendment is, when the bill is passed and read into law, the decision support services are ready then. At the same time, I am still working with the DSG and the NDIS. There's so many groups, the NDIS and the DSG, to ensure that these are where our interdepartmental groups are meeting on a quarterly basis. And out of that, they meet every single month, where disability is a focus within their department. So I'm asking them, parallel to what I'm doing legislatively with all the members here, that their departments are doing exactly the same. And I suppose before the end of this year, I will lay before the House the NDA revision in relation to the Irish Sign Language Act, to see actually where they looked at every single department. And this is a really good barometer, what the NDA have done in relation to the Irish Sign Language Act, because it shows where disabilities within all departments are actually totally open, and they understand what it means about disability inclusion, participation, and how their departments can really work to ensure that that mechanism is there. So, Deputy, what I'm saying to you is, I'm not changing any goalposts. I'm not changing any goalposts. I've been very, very clear that if we cannot, because of the timing cycle, be before the UN Convention, but we have sent forward our papers and we have our decision support services in place. Those mechanisms are then in place for myself and Minister O'Gorman to ensure that the optional protocol is ratified.